Okay, so I think we've established that Gorgers are powerful, right? They're pretty good. I'm not worried about their balance or lack thereof for this video because we're playing campaign and trying to make them as rambunctious as possible. So with that in mind, Skrag the Slaughterer has to be our go-to option for Legendary Lord. His entire lore is predicated on his own dismemberment, his exile, and a thunderous return of vengeance when he made himself alpha of a Gorger pack and feasted on the tribe he once called home. He has 50% upkeep reduction to Gorger's base, and in Gristle Valley, this unique landmark called Gorger Haunt reduces their recruitment cost by 25% and gives them a silver chevron immediately on recruitment faction-wide. All that's great from a financial perspective, but we're more interested in how they perform in combat and how we can improve that aspect of their game. So, at the end of Skrag's Red Tree, Ravenous Fighters gives all rank 7 Gorgers 7 extra melee attack and 10% weapon strength, which can further be stacked on top of research. Earlier in the Red Tree, gave them armor and charge bonus from Beasts of the Mountain. So, the Gorger Hunt makes it easier to max them out and get those exclusive gold chevron bonuses quickly. And when we're talking Doomstacks, there's a lot to be said for units you gain access to fast, without much investment on your part. Obviously, 20 Stone Horns or 20 Iron Blasters has a good shot to outperform this in some or many ways, but you can't get a full stack of them by turn 40 like you can with Gorgers, and there's something to be said for the thematics here as well. By far the best thing you can do for your Gorgers is get Skrag his Cauldron of the Great Maw. Powerful regen, 20% extra weapon damage for all Gorgers in your army once Skrag hits his kill threshold, which is super easy to do. You can manage that in like a single good cast of Bone Crusher. So what better way to unlock his Cauldron item than with a full stack of these Savage Freaks from the mountains? It's kind of a legit quest battle here, not one you'd want to take on in the super early game. You're sandwiched between a Gunner Runner and Death Runner stack on one side, and Warp Lightning Cannon supported by Storm Vermin and Rat Ogres on the other. So, on paper, they have quite a few tools to counter a full Gorger stack. See how it goes. It's about turn 45 right now, so we're a long way from making Gorgers as good as they're gonna get. And obviously, we don't have the Cauldron of the Great Maw yet either, so I want to see how they perform now, and then maybe compare that to how they might perform a little bit later in the campaign once they really start hitting their stride.
Ratties! Ratties! Come and have a sniff at his trees. It's all here in my pot.
Fix the flickering, for the love of God.
For
the love of the Great Maw, it looks so bad.
In. Oh, more. They hang back. It's a rat trap. No. I ain't trapped here with them. No. They're trapped here with me.
Got some serious Walter Kovacs vibes going on right now. Rorschach, show him who's boss. Alright, army behind me. Skrag's voice acting is actually awesome. I think it's really good. Okay, so summons. Now, I need to get out of the zone of control of those Warp Lightning Cannons immediately, and the issue is that Gorgers have stock normally, but his army's going to be able to shoot at me because those summons are giving him vision of all my stalking stuff, so I gotta pull everything back, and I'm not going to attack the Storm Vermin and the Warp Lightning Cannons yet. I think I'm going to focus on the Gunner Runners coming in behind because they have more mobility. And I really don't relish the idea of being pinned by Storm Vermin while being shot in the rear by Gunner Runners with slings and shurikens and shit. So, yeah, the Warp Lightnings are opening up. That's going to hurt a little bit. And we will lose some models here, again, because we don't have that really super good regen from the Cauldron of the Great Maw. So I'm going to split into 3 separate groups. There are some spells in this build that are designed to help counteract some of the traditional weaknesses of Gorgers, i.e. their low armor and somewhat lowish melee defense. Gonna dismember those shurikens and get my Gorgers into the Gunner Runner, start rounding them off. I'm okay to take the Death Runner fight. That's actually gonna be a joke. That'll be super easy for, I mean, Gorgers will just stomp them 1v1. Do have to be a little bit careful of Warp Lightning, which is normally an incredibly annoying spell anyway. It's not quite as impactful against monstrous infantry, of course, but if we get blobbed up on stuff, it will still do a lot of damage to me, so don't want to get too blobby here. And yeah, Pan's impenetrable pelt is a big part of that. That beast caster is actually a pretty important part of this strat. So more melee defense, more physical resistance, and just making my blobs of Gorgers tankier is quite useful in many different scenarios. Now there isn't crazy focus fire coming in right now. The two spells that I would normally think of that help Gorgers survive incoming missile fire or just the melee grind in general would be Pan's Pelt and then Toothcracker. Obviously missile resist is huge. Now, again, in an ideal situation, they're not going to have vision of your Gorgers anyway. You're stocking up, so missile resist isn't quite as important. But once you get into melee, if they have back line, if you're against Zinch or something, and they're shooting in, focus firing you down, having that 22% extra missile resist is pretty useful. So I'm going to have that wing of my Gorgers swing around behind. Remember, if you shift and right-click, drag, you can make a route that they will follow, and they will go all the way around behind if you draw them there, and get in for a nice hammer and anvil. And that is one of the most fun things about this build in general. It's pretty mobile. It's not crazy mobile. You're not talking like 85 plus speed. We're not great stags or wild riders here. But 60 speed-ish Vanguard. A lot of benefits in terms of positioning and a decent amount of micro here too. I mean, you can just straight up blob and you'll win a lot of your fights just because of how powerful Gorgers are. I mean, most of my army here has 60 plus, 70 melee attack, and now I should be hitting more like 80 plus with their bonus versus infantry included.
I'm all that walks.
I'm not casting a lot of spells. I'll go Brain Gobbler on the Lord just to get him to stop casting Warp Lightning because it's getting pretty annoying. But there really wasn't a whole lot of big groups of Skaven to blow up with my spells here. So I'll get a nice little Butcher and heal up some of my Gorgers. I don't think that brings back models, so that'll only get them up to the cap of whatever 11 models gives me. But yeah, I mean, that first part of the fight was easy. And now I have a nice little cliff to take cover behind. And I think that's what I'll do. I'll probably draw them in, make the Warp Lightning Cannons move up a little bit further. And it's actually going to be pretty important for me to make sure that all these units are shattered, not just broken. Because if they're shattered, I don't believe they give vision, which means that my Gorgers can no longer be targeted by the Warp Lightning Cannons. Now, this part of the army is probably more deadly. Storm Vermin Halberds. We've seen that if you frontally charge Halberds, it's actually not that big a deal for Gorgers. They'll still win, especially in a critical mass like this one. But they can still hurt, and they have a lot of models, which will help them quite a bit over a unit like Celestial Dragon Guard. And they're also supported by mass Rat Ogres and Poison Winged Globadiers behind them, so do have to be a little careful on how I approach this next stage of the battle. But yeah, like I said, if that unit shatters, I don't think it still gives them vision, so I'll have the Saber Tusk chase them down, spread out a little bit more. One thing that I've noticed a lot with the Ogre campaign, especially if you're rocking full armies of monstrous infantry, which is pretty common if you're going to be playing Ogre Kingdoms, is that it's hard to move around. Like, maneuvering is actually difficult because there's so much mass and bodies in and amongst your groups that they'll just kind of block each other. And so you won't get the full maneuverability you'd like to have access to, even though they are 59 plus speed. And it does get annoying, especially in siege battles and minor settlement battles, where there's not a lot of room to maneuver in the first place. It can be kind of frustrating to actually get them to do what you want them to do, because they keep getting stuck on each other. So I'm okay to send in a few in the front ranks to be the quote-unquote sacrificial lambs. Shift drag around the flank to get at the Warp Lightning Cannon. I'll send 2 or 3 Gorgers and a Saber Tusk pack to deal with the artillery in the rear. The rest of them can go up the center. And let's get a Pan's Pelt down on them. Physical resistance will be helpful. Extra melee defense will be maybe even more helpful in this fight, because Warp Lightning Cannons will still get through that resist anyway. Another Butcher on some of my wounded Gorgers. Yeah, AI's not really blobbing up a whole lot in this quest mill. They're actually doing a pretty decent job. So just a Bull Gorger, not a Bull Gorger, Bone Crusher. Spiked Mailed Fist to hit that Storm Vermin Halberd and bust him down. And that caused him to break almost immediately. So, actually, in this situation, I don't really have to fight the Storm Vermin frontally. I can maybe get a rear charge in behind them, kill off the Lord, but really, I think I want to ignore most of the front line and just dive into the back, get rid of the Globadiers and the cannons. Nice little Gorger summon, too. That's incredibly useful in a ton of these battles. That Gorger summon, I mean, that's a powerful unit to be putting behind enemy battle lines. Just digging themselves out the ground, Joe. Nice little melee buff. Let's finish off those Globadiers. Ignore the halberds for now. Maybe get another Grinder Fist on them. And that's an amazing spell. I think that's been the MVP spell of my Ogre campaign thus far. It's very powerful. I've seen him easily get 300, 400 kills in a single cast. With a pretty cheap spell, honestly. And when you overcast it, it just obliterates armor. Mass route incoming, full surround off, strike them from every single possible side. Pan's Pelt for now. Soon we will get Toothcracker, because in the Realms of Chaos we'll have to deal with Tzeentch and some of these more range-focused factions, maybe even Cathay if we traverse the rifts. So having Toothcracker and that missile resist will be very important for how this build functions. And losses, definitely lost some HP in this battle, but that'll be much less a problem once the Cauldron of the Great Maw is ours, which will be after this battle. Because that regen is actually amazing. And that's really how you want to start every single game with him, is cast a spell that will immediately trigger the Cauldron of the Great Maw buffs. And then you've got an entire army of 20 bonus versus infantry, 130 weapon damage, majority AP, freaks with 60 speed and incredible regen. Like, it's pretty brutal. Or at least that's the hope. I think it will be. I'm quite happy with their performance already, and they're nowhere near as strong as they can possibly get. So 30 losses. Pretty soon we got more Chaos Rifts coming, so let's go into the Chaos Realms now, shall we? I actually skipped an entire Rift cycle, the first one. I didn't really want to head in there, but now I am. I'm in Nurgle's Realm, and Kairos, you came to the wrong neighborhood, mother trucker. I don't know what you were thinking, coming to the Chaos Realms with a weak-ass army like that, Blue Horrors and Furies as the main part of your stack, but even though we're not at war, I really have no reason to let him capture souls. So I might kill as many armies as possible from the other playable factions while I'm here. And I think Kairos will be the first of my victims. You're gonna lose your starting Soul Grinder, man. That's not gonna feel good. Stack up that pre-battle feast. Let's go! Speed, unit mass, charge bonus. So this is where things really start picking up. We have the Cauldron of the Great Maw, which has some useful campaign effects when you're not in battle. But when you're in battle, this is what makes your Gorgers just absolutely godlike. They get up to 130 weapon strength before any other bonuses, before any other buffs, and then they get a bunch of regen. And that regen is much better than Troll regen. It's much better than pretty much any regen we had in Game 1 or Game 2. They will still lose models, and if they lose a model, they cannot get that model back. So that's the one downside when you get shot by a cannonball or something, that Gorger's gone until the next game. But Skrag and the Ogre Kingdoms in general have really good casualty replenishment, so that's really not much of a problem. That's one of the nice things about this stack. One, the upkeep and recruitment costs for them are negligible. It's very easy to doomstack them from an early stage in the playthrough, but it's also very easy to replace them, and I think that's a very attractive part of this whole strat. So we do have Toothcracker now. They'll actually be pretty useful against a Tzeentch army like this one. Balance Bar says we have an advantage. Not surprising, they weren't full 20 stacked up, but still, I will be curious to see how these Gorgers perform against a range-focused army like the one they have. Now, if this was a full stack of Pink Horrors or something, I would come into this expecting a decent amount of losses. But again, when you've got 20 bonus versus infantry and, what, 80 melee attack, essentially, against all foot troops, that helps. Pan's Pelt will help a lot too. The physical resistance will actually not be quite as useful here, so I'll probably focus more on the Toothcracker. Everything on the Tzeentch side, of course, deals magic damage, so it'll get through the physical resistance. But the melee defense can still be nice. And the speed. The speed is also a big part of that. Kind of like Barona's Time Warp in a way, but like a defensive Barona's Time Warp. Underrated spell. People, I think, should use it more. Yeah, blue horrors are in skirmish mode, so they want to run away. Get that extra speed bonus if we can. I need to get a little bit more grouped up so that everyone can get hit by the speed increase. Maybe I'll just go Toothcracker instead. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. They're the first. They're the vanguard. So they need to be ready to take some missile fire for sure.
Skrag the Slaughterer.
Thorson's Thunderstorm available for 20 more seconds. Okay. Cataclysm spells. Let's bust them open now, shall we? The Gorgers coming in from the flank. Maybe cast that in their rear guard. I'm not going to get much value out of it, but that does deal friendly fire damage, by the way. You got to be careful with that. That'll mess you up. Even Monstrous Infantry can get messed up by that spell. That looks super cool.
Skrag the Slaughterer.
It's a blue horror dead, at least.
Forever insatiable.
Dude, the way these Gorgers just inundate, swarm the back line. And it doesn't matter if they have monstrous cavalry out on the flank, screamers, anything big. Gorgers can take them down. Gorgers will take them down. Like if I'm up against a mammoth or something, a single Gorger can fully surround a mammoth and take it down quick. Real quick. And not take too many losses either. If I was up against maybe like the Sphinx of Usek from game 2, that's a single entity monster I'd be wary about engaging. But barring that, I can pretty much send these guys into whatever I want and expect them to win. Will they take some casualties? Yeah. Will they take some HP damage? Yeah. But again, we can regen all that in a single cast. Or in a single turn.
Skrag the Slaughterer.
Some more Toothcrackers. All my Gorgers out on that side. Deal with the blue horrors in the back and make sure that that Soul Grinder does not get away. That's #1 on my kill list. Magma Storm. Let's back up. I don't want to friendly fire the crap out of my own stuff. They're trying to escape. Oh, sick. And Kairos and the Burning Tzeentch are getting pooped on over there. I think it looks like that Tzeentchy disc is doing the dry humping in the mid-air state. So, not without our fair share of bugs here. At least CA have acknowledged the issue. That's good. It's a good first step. Recognize that there's a problem. And be careful what you cast Butcher on, by the way. Really, I don't think you need to cast it on any of your Gorgers anyway, but make sure you don't cast it on one that has already hit the healing cap for how many models they have. Because if it has 13 models and they're at 2/3 HP, that's roughly, I mean, that's going to be the max they're going to get anyway. So if that regen isn't ticking upwards, you definitely don't want to cast a heal on them because they won't get any benefit from it because you can't bring those models back. But yeah, generally you could save the Butchers for Skrag or your caster. The Plague Moon of Davin, where our Lord and Savior Horus was laid low by the Anatheme. It's Argus in Warhammer Fantasy, I guess. And that is our destination, but more enemy factions are pouring through the breach, and though she's not my enemy yet, she's about to be. Miao Ying the Storm Dragon, you came to the wrong neighborhood. Come and get it! Offer to the Great Maw, more campaign movement range, super good. Extra 20% is actually a huge boost. And it really helps the Ogres get around on the campaign map. I've got a trade with Zhao Ming, and I really don't feel like letting Miao Ying get ahead in the race for the Realms of Chaos and for the Demon Souls. So, even though I'm not at war with her, she's at war with Western Provinces. I've got good relations with Zhao. Might as well put her in the dirt, if only for a few turns, and kick her out. So she'll lose her Sky Junk and Celestial Dragon Guard, and we'll get a ton of meat. Might, more speed, more bonuses there. The speed and mass. I mean, seriously, if you click drag or force path through enemy infantry, Ogres have no problems pushing through at all. Which is way different than it was in Game 2. They got some extra bonuses going into Game 3. And they can push through a lot of troops without too much issue. So let's see if we can pull that off in this battle. environments are just incredibly well done in this game. I mean, they really nailed the aesthetic of each of these realms. Super cool looking. And I cannot wait to see what modders do with all these assets, too. They're going to push that even further. The custom siege maps, if you thought they were crazy in Game 1 and Game 2, they're going to be wild in Warhammer 3. I cannot wait till that mod workshop opens up. Okay, so same idea here. Keep it easy, keep it stupid simple. 3 control groups. Skrag and the caster in the center. With my most veteran Gorgers. Actually, after this battle, most of mine should be all gold chevrons. And getting an extra melee attack. But this is a good example where I can now sit back with Skrag. Because that Sky Junk is going to do nothing to my Gorgers. You can't even see him anyway. So he'll be firing at single entity, which is not what it's designed for. And I can get my Cauldron the Great Maw buffs. Nice Earthbloods, by the way. Miao Ying getting crazy good heals. She's not. I lied. So, Grinder Fist. Spiked Maul dropping out of the sky. That will not kill because I didn't overcast. Just dealing damage and softening them up for the actual killing blow. That will trigger all those buffs for my Gorgers. And if you maneuver back and forth, you can actually get the AI to completely reposition, and sometimes they'll present some juicy little clumps for you to explode. Do it. And just like that. Yep. Not bad. Not a crazy amount of kills there, though. But I'll tell you what. How about we cast a Cataclysm spell in the middle of the... Oh God. What are you doing? Oh, AI, what have you done? Oh, no. Then along came Zeus. He hurled his thunderbolts. We actually missed a ton there. And we're still dealing a lot of damage. That could have been better. Honestly, we got RNG'd. I'll take it, though. Ashes and Dust. I've actually not seen this Cataclysm spell yet. That might be worth a video topic, just covering all the Cataclysm spells. So Cauldron the Great Maw, barely enacted so far, because we haven't killed a bunch yet. But one more Bone Crusher should do it, I think. Maybe like right now? Yeah, 150 kills, that should put him over the threshold. Yeah, maxed out. 97% essentially, almost maxed out. So Gorgers can go in, get the regen, and we will strike from all 3 sides of this army and then summon some Gorgers into the back line to deal with the crossbows. If I can get in range, that is. Got some peasant cav in my way. Their mass might be enough to block our boy Scraggy boy. There we go. Alright, Gorger summon. Coming in from the flanks. Moving in on Cathay's left flank too. Let's avoid the Celestial Dragon Guard. We can beat them, but no real reason to fight them if they're just gonna sit there in formation. Extra ingredients, because more casting is always good. Dealt with the Cav. Swarming, and I mean it's just not fair. Like everything just melts. Everything just freaking melts. These dudes just bulldoze infantry. They bulldoze everything, but one more Bone Crusher in the center. Get that crossbow rear charge, and let's Ashes and Dust this. I don't know if this deals friendly fire damage. It's direct damage, so it shouldn't, but I'm still a little bit nervous about it. And it's the only thing that can actually kill my stuff, so I'm gonna run away anyway. I'm kind of scared. What you doing? Oh. Not bad. I couldn't tell if that dealt any friendly fire. I imagine it doesn't because like a Flock of Doom wouldn't. But who the hell knows? Cataclysm spells do what they want. They don't abide by the law. And that is a mass rout. I don't even know what happened to Miao Ying. I still see her kind of... Yeah, there she is. Alright, we're gonna give Skrag some dragon booty to munch on. If she doesn't rout beforehand, she will. She routed. And then the Sky Junk is just watching like, what the... Why am I even here? What is the purpose of my existence? Literally. I don't understand. Those hot air balloons are really not the best. And sky junks aren't terrible, I guess. Sky lantern is a complete joke. Sky junks can deal some damage. They're funny. Alright, that's the Gorger Doomstack. Hope you guys enjoyed it. They're fun. Try it yourself.